Ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't help it. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. So with the TPSU, event, there's a lot of heat that has been going on lately, infighting, people calling out each other, Ben Shapiro calling out Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owen. The list goes on and on and on. Really glad to see young people in the US waking up to Israel's crime and influence. When I watched this video, I had to put my 2 cents on there. You know what I'm saying? I had to say something about it. And yeah, let me go ahead and say exactly what I have to say. Let's go ahead and listen to this, and I'll give my thought on it.
Is the greatest issue that Israel is doing to America? Like, is it AIPAC? Is it collateral damage? Is it Jewish billionaires? Like, what's the greatest issue that they have on America?
Okay, first of all, this is probably going to be contrary to what I'm going to say right here, but I genuinely believe that the greatest issue that they have over America is the monetary system. Even if we get rid of AIPAC, they still have control over the banking system in the United States. If you don't believe me, go ahead and ask people in Vanguard. What's the other one called? Vanguard, BlackRock, and there was a third one. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, just look at those people. And then, of course, we have the Federal Reserve. You guys think AIPAC is the only thing that we got to deal with? The country has been completely taken over. They have a famous quote. I don't give a damn who's in power. This is a quote, by the way. Not verbatim, but it goes along this line. I don't care who's in power. I don't care who runs for president. I don't care who's a mayor of the state. As long as I have control of the money, you can put a dog in power for all I give a damn. That's their motto. So if you think AIPAC is what we have to worry about, you are sadly mistaken. Don't get me wrong. They are they play a major role in whatever goes on in the United States. But if we get AIPAC out of power and they no longer have influence over Congress and they no longer have influence over the politicians and stuff like that, you have to understand that they still have a massive leverage over America. And that's the money. And all it takes is for one sociopath to come up with the idea that, all right, let's go ahead and just $1. Because they can easily do that. America is trillions of dollars in debt. And guess what? It will never be able to pay that back. Ever.
This one first?
Yeah.
The premise of your question essentially says President Trump is a schmuck. To
yes.
use a Yiddish term. I mean, you're essentially saying that Trump is a schmuck and the tail is wagging the dog. That somehow he's not in charge and some secret cabal of people are yanking his chain. And then he doesn't know what he's doing. The people leading our government don't know what they're doing. That people are not critical thinking. And so I would ask you, what is the premise of your own question? I mean, are the Jews with you today? Are they there in the room with you? I mean, what's the premise of your own question?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Donald Trump, I believe that Donald Trump is somebody who is morally bankrupt. Not just him, but his inner circle as well. Because they understand that, well, I'm surrounded by a bunch of PDF files with the recent release of the Epstein file. And yet they still shake hands with each other, still bribe each other, and still accept money from each other. You tell me, would you ever accept money from somebody that you know for a fact slept with a minor? Would you accept money from somebody you know for a fact just got done dropping bombs on innocent people? This is what goes on in their circle. They are trading money, accepting money, bribery is going on, homosexuality is going on, PDF file is going on, and yet these people still pretend that they are the bastion of morals. They are the bastion of human civilization. They are the bastion and they are the torch to light the way for mankind to go onto a right path. This is how they think that we perceive them as. That, they are nice and more. When in reality, the world is waking up to the crime. With the recent release of the Epstein file, we see it for what it is. These people are morally bankrupt. And you honestly think that they will not take money under the table just so they can turn a blind eye from Benjamin Netanyahu from dropping bomb on innocent people? And if you think that that's not true, then you are sadly mistaken. And you are one of the sheep that they have full control over.
I think there are some issues with Israel. I think AIPAC should register with FARA. I don't know how much collateral damage should be having in Gaza, but there's a certain limit of how many innocent children and women that should not be dying. I agree war, bad things happen, but there is a limit to collateral damage.
How many limits were there on October the 7th, and when did you post about those limits and your concerns?
And then here's another thing, right? This guy over here is trying to act like he is on a higher moral ground here. So if he wants to be consistent with his morals, why does he talk about the Hannibal directive that took place on October 7th? Don't get me wrong. What the H did was wrong. The fact that they killed innocent people on that day, I am completely against that. But you want to go ahead and you want to take all the blame and shift it toward the H. But you have to understand that if you're somebody who is morally consistent, if you're somebody who cares about the Jewish community genuinely, then you will call out the fact that the Hannibal directive took place on that day and the IDF themselves went ahead and gunned down their own civilians on that day. But yet here you are sitting down acting like you're Mr. Macho Man and you are on high moral because this genuine guy here is asking a genuine question.
You're comparing 2,000 people to 60 to 70,000 people.
1,200 people, FYI. It wasn't 2,000, but close enough.
What's your evidence of 60 to 70,000 people? Where'd you get that?
Ask any artificial intelligence where you...
And there was a leak that happened that it was 80, the casualty rate from the whole entire Gaza raid was 83%. I genuinely think that number is a little bit higher, but 83%. That is an insane. That's pretty much ethnic cleansing right there. Period.
You would get unbiased information and you would find a consensus of that data. And I would also like to hear,
I think that's what you kids today call a cell phone. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Did you want to comment on that?
Yeah. The thing that needs to be asserted here is that there's a long-standing statement that the first casualty in any war is the truth. There's the fog of war. Propaganda, atrocity stories are as old as dirt. And that doesn't mean that they can't be true, but it does mean that you shouldn't go on Instagram and establish the truth that way. So basically, atrocity stories, if it really happened, that's an atrocity. But I want to reserve judgment because lies pour out of wars just the way bloodshed does.
Can I just redirect really quick? I want to make sure that you guys understand. I pushed back because I want to see the premise of his question. Being concerned about the loss of innocent life and unnecessary escalating collateral damages, there's nothing wrong and immoral about that whatsoever. The question becomes, what's the premise of what you're asking, which is why I pushed back on, well, where was the anger about what happened on October the 7th? Did you see what he did there?
The anger was there. The amount of people that I've heard saying that they were supporting Israel and they were against Hamas for what they did on October 7th. And then they shifted the whole entire feeling. Why? Because of exactly what IDF did. The anger was there. People were genuinely angry. It's the response that people saw. It's the videos that people saw. It's the unaliving of innocent people that people saw. And then they came to a conclusion that this is way too far. This is ethnic cleansing. You, brain dead idiot, seems to be the only one here. Well, technically, let's be quite honest, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not from the United States of America. I'm not as educated as these people. They read more news than me. They see a lot more stat than me. But if I can come to a conclusion that whatever is going on in Palestine is ethnic cleansing, I believe they know for a fact that what's going on is wrong. But the only reason that some of these people refuse to talk about it is, for one, they're taking money. Two, they're on the list. That's the reality. Those are the only two options. Because ain't nobody in this world can seriously look at what's going on in Gaza and turn around and say, yeah, this was definitely justified. It's impossible. You just cannot do that. You can't. And the people who don't talk about it choose to stay away from the topic altogether. Why? Because they understand that what's going on in Gaza is undefensible. You just cannot defend it. It's only these guys that are still defending this thing. And it sickens me that they are literally trying to, how do I say it? They are trying to guilt us into thinking that, oh, you not supporting what happened on October 7th makes you an anti-Semite, when in reality, it's like nobody had any issues with the Jews. Nobody did. But it's the response that people have problem with. It's the amount of innocent people that they have killed. So many people are still buried under rubble that have not been counted. So many. And yet you still sit here and act like you are on the high morals and assuming that people are just stupid for asking these type of questions. It's so frustrating.
All right. He just started counting bodies as if somehow the Israelis were just sitting there begging for this to happen to them, and they weren't. What?
I'm sorry for pausing this so much. They were warned ahead of time. Benjamin Netanyahu knew this was going to happen. Egypt warned them. Egypt told them this is what's going on. They wanted it to happen. Why? Because Benjamin Netanyahu was almost out of office. He needed something to continue the war. He needed something to allow himself to ethnically cleanse Gaza. That's why they used the Hannibal Directive, so that way they can unalive more people and say this was all Hamas, and because of that, we have to completely eradicate all of them. And if you do not believe me, just read Haaretz. Just listen to their news channel. They are admitting it themselves. We do not consider these people to be human. We do not want these people here. Each and every single one of them is an H. That's what they are saying.
Provoked this? What provoked this operation? Since 2006, it's funny, those
75 years of occupation is what provoked it.
of you that want so-called Palestinian autonomy, in many respects, you sound very much like the neocons you claim to hate.
There you go.
Because
the labeling.
that's exactly what they believed in, was Palestinian autonomy and Palestinian agency. And the Israelis gave it to them. And they gave them essentially their own state right there on their border.
Yeah, giving them their own state is having money, having monopoly over the food that comes in, the electricity, the water. They have monopoly over all of these things. What kind of autonomy is that? What do you call that? Somebody who has control over the food that you eat. Whenever they can easily cut off the electricity and water whenever they want. That's literally a concentration camp.
And what they did is turn right around and vote for Hamas, and led to exactly the events that we just saw on.
Who kept Hamas in power? Who bribed the UAE to give money to Hamas? They don't want to talk about any of these. They don't want to take blame for anything, bro.
October the 7th, and the events that we have seen since. So if we want to have a moral conversation, then I think you have to start from the right moral premise. If anything, the Israelis have been wrong in giving away too much land, giving too much infiltration to their own enemies, and listening to the neocons too much.
One sentence. Just very quickly, when October 7th happened, one of my grandsons was at Columbia University. So this horrendous thing happened in Israel. And the next day, there was an Insta protest at Columbia University, pop-up protest, pro-Palestinian protest, right after October 7th. The thing was a coordinated op.
Thank
Man, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Stay out of this shit, bro.
you.
God. Just like, fuck. Ah, my God, dude. This is it pisses me off. Because so many Americans literally sit there and take this like it is like, oh my God, these are divine word from God right here. These people are morally bankrupt. How many times do I have to say that? Like, you can't trust them. I'm sorry, you just cannot trust these people. For over 2 years. 2 years. Look at before and after Gaza. That's not what you call war. This is literal ethnic cleansing as we see right before our own eyes. I have heard doctors' testimonies. Doctors who were underground. I've heard their testimony. I've heard the IDF speaking about this. I've heard Benjamin Netanyahu and his circle talk about this. These people, they don't care. I'll catch you guys up in the next video. I almost forgot to let you guys know, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a little bit of a trivia. How many stars are here? If you made it this far, man, go ahead and leave it in the bottom. How many stars? And on top of that, just subscribe, man. You made it this far. Like, come on.